WTAD.
Andrew Breitbart joins us on the phone this morning. Andrew, good morning.
What nasty part of the human anatomy are we having for breakfast? In Quincy.
That's a good question.
It's all Weiner all the time in my house, and I have 4 kids. I have to go to a special room to talk about my latest stories.
You know, that's something that you have made a point about when you've been asked questions about the X-rated photo and about this whole story in general is how have you handled it with your family?
Well, thankfully, I've been in New York most of the time, going studio to studio to studio, and I've been away from my family. But when I did come home, my son, who has a family guy kind of sense of humor, he's a sophisticate, and pretty much, unfortunately, gets everything, was talking to me about how all the kids at his school, and it's a parochial school, would come up to him and say, Weinergate.
Yeah, that it's been. I think specifically, even for the press who has been interested in the double entendres nonstop. I think it's still been slightly awkward.
The experience is strange. This is my first sex scandal. I mean, I certainly was working with Matt Drudge back during the Clinton-Lewinsky thing, and was able to witness, the Matt Drudge, was accused of all sorts of things by the mainstream media, and they went after him viciously, and he, became associated with so many sordid things, even though he was simply just reporting the god-awful truth. And right now, it's strange. I'm simply reporting relevant information in a relevant story. It just so happens that the things that he's chosen to do in a nefarious way are so graphic in nature. And so you can either, treat it 100% of the time like it's the most serious thing in the world. You can ignore it even though it's an important story, or you can, from time to time, joke about it and toss out a few puns and double entendres, and I like to mix it up.
I'm sure the grist mills on the left are working overtime right now. How hard and how soon will the backlash come?
Well, the current one, their first thing was Breitbart's the hacker, and that failed. The second one was Breitbart savaged the girl in Seattle, and that failed because I never mentioned her name, and we redacted all of her information. And the current one that I'm starting to sense, and I'm pretty good at figuring out how the left works and how they try and manufacture counterspin, and the one that I'm sensing now, and I felt it when I first heard it, was Huma is pregnant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, they've selectively chosen to tell us this information. What they're doing is they're now aligning him with her, and if you report more on his sordid stuff, it's in essence attacking Huma as well. I would argue we're protecting Huma because we're giving her the vital information she needs to make an educated decision as to whether or not she's going to stay with him in the long term.
Huma, for those that don't know, is Anthony Weiner's wife of, I believe, less than a year.
Yes. Awkward anniversary coming up.
Well, and you know what? That's something he couldn't have gotten done with a picture, so he obviously is familiar.
Yeah, it's a pretty gross scenario. I'm trying not to focus on the personal side of this. I'm trying to show people that when it comes to David Vitter or John Ensign or Mark Sanford or Arnold Schwarzenegger, all of these guys who are involved in this type of public behavior, who have been hiding behind Bill Clinton's ultimate European defense, it's just about the sex. Let's now step back a little and realize these guys put themselves in a position to be blackmailed. Think about what Anthony Weiner's doing with, the blackjack dealer in Nevada, the new one we find out today from Georgia, the one from Texas, the one that he sent unsolicited, according to the New York Times today, and that he has a history of doing this in a predatory fashion, the gal up in Seattle. He's sending them information. He's sending them photos that put him in a position to be easily blackmailed by people he's never vetted, people he doesn't know. All he knows of them is that he likes what they look like in their Twitter profile picture. And so he's if one of these women, look how he's willing to fight to keep his power and his money when this information is public. How hard do you think it would have been to twist his arm and say, hey, I've got a photo of you naked, and I'm going to expose this to the world, and you're going to lose your job. Do you think that it would have been easy to twist his arm to vote one way over the other way?
Right.
I think that these people are compromising the United States of America when they engage in this type of behavior. If you want to get into this sick, twisted sister fantasy life and having affairs with everybody behind your wife's back, why don't you go test that and the heroin supply out in Hollywood and become an actor?
Well, and now more and more information is coming out about why his party hasn't rushed to his defense. Apparently, he's pissed off some pretty powerful people by not doing his due diligence for his own party as far as fundraising, dues paying, and other things, and nobody's really rushed to his defense.
Even during the Andrew Breitbart is the hacker phase of his strategy, Charlie Rangel, Rangel, I think you don't want Charlie Rangel vouching for your ethics. That was the only guy that defended him, and that to me was always the elephant in the middle of the room when I was wondering, is there smoke and fire here? I said, of course there's smoke and fire here. Nobody's coming to his defense. If he were innocent, Nancy Pelosi and the Democratic caucus would be standing by him, because 2 weeks before that, he was their favorite son because he had a caught at MSNBC where he attacked Republicans as if they were Nazis.
Well, and what is it about New York politicians? I don't even I mean, it's like you've got him, you've got Chris Lee, you've got Spitzer. Wasn't the lieutenant governor involved in something too?
Oh, no, the governor himself, I believe, had some famous affairs. The blind governor.
Yeah. Well, he was the lieutenant governor. He took over for Spitzer when Spitzer left.
It came out that he had at least one mistress.
Yeah. I don't know what's in the water up in New York, but you'd think after one or two did it, everybody else would be like, yeah, maybe I should be careful about this.
I don't know. What about Jesse Jackson Jr. and Governor Ryan and I mean, boy, Illinois has its taste of
who are we to talk,
well.
Right? Yeah, well, that's true. Ours not typically sex scandals, but
Well, I've got Governor Schwarzenegger and Mildred, so
yeah, that's true. Hey,
we're spreading it around, and Anthony Villaraigosa, Tony Villar, our mayor out here, involved with a local anchor. This is what these guys do. I consider them all to be miserable. They're guilty until proven innocent with me.
It's not like they don't have anything to do legislatively. It's not like the country's just humming along and they've got 3 hours.
We're in good shape.
Yeah.
This is the United States of America circa 1955, and we can afford this type of misbehavior.
Last 24 hours, Andrew Breitbart, our guest this morning, last 24 hours, that the explicit photo that you have came out on the internet via Opie and Anthony, who are shock jocks, I guess.
Satellite radio
shock jocks. You were on their program. Was it yesterday morning?
Yeah.
And explain what happened there.
Well, first of all, I'm the one who set the standard that I did not want to publicly disseminate for mass consumption the photo, even though I have every right to, and I believe that it would have stopped his career dead in its tracks, and he would have been forced to resign if the graphic, high-definition image that I have in my possession were to be put out there. But I did not want to be known as the guy to do that, and I didn't want to profit off of it. I didn't put it on my website, even though it was surreptitiously captured, the image, through nefarious purposes, admittedly by Opie and Anthony, and then they put it out there, obviously without my consent, which they admit. The only thing I can say is that I regret that it happened, and in hindsight, even though I knew Anthony and thought he was a stand-up guy, and I know Jim Norton from the show, and I like him, I thought that I was in a safe place and that I was giving them a really good interview. And when they asked, just like many other people in the news industry and in the media, I've considered this photograph to be proof. And as long as there are people out there who are doubting that the photo exists, And on MSNBC, Joan Walsh and Bill Press have been saying, we don't think the photo exists. I've happily shown people who have asked to see it. If I don't show it to people unsolicited, but if they beg, I'm like, okay, here it is. It is the proof, and it is newsworthy. I just chose not to publish it. Gawker did. If people have a problem with it being published, go call up Gawker and ask why they post the penis of a sitting congressman, because I certainly didn't.
And it was interesting. I get an email every morning, email update from Talkers Magazine, and they'll put kind of the happenings in the talk radio industry that are going on. And one of the things they mentioned this morning was that whole incident with Opie and Anthony. But usually they just straight report whatever's happening. In this morning's particular update, they decided to go a step further and speculate that you had done that intentionally, that you'd intentionally shown it to them, knowing that they would release the photo, and that way you could get it out there. This is from Talkers Magazine in their news update, where they decided to provide commentary on it and their opinion, which I found interesting. But I guess, what's your response to that?
Can you rephrase that for me? I'm in a dazed phase.
Basically, what they've put out there, the theory that they put out there is that they think that you intentionally, or that you showed it to Opie and Anthony, knowing that they would put it out there because of their history.
Talkers said that?
Yeah, Talkers Magazine. Yeah.
Well, tell them to go to hell.
The response I would expect.
Yeah. So that's the theory that was put out there this morning on the news update, which I was taken aback.
Wonderful. Well, I don't know what their source is. Maybe they are telepathic and have got into my deeper, darker recesses of my unconscious, because these guys did this. You can hear me talking to them, saying why I don't want them to do it. They tell me we don't have any cameras here. They're lying through their teeth to create the perception that I'm in a safe place. Unless you're saying that there's collusion and that we orchestrated it and that we scripted it like that, it's ridiculous. It's put me on I'm being grilled on the Today Show about it. I'm being grilled on Elliot Spitzer about it. People are accusing me of these type of things at the exact moment that I'm getting vindication for countless other stories and proof that the media is out to get me whenever I report politically incorrect stories that hurt the liberal narrative. This doesn't benefit me. The guy's already falling. Why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just publish it myself? I'm the one that established the standard that I'm not going to publish it. Had I published it like Gawker did, Gawker's not getting attacked for publishing it.
Right.
Why am I getting attacked for it having accidentally being stolen from me?
Nobody on the left's afraid of Gawker.
Well, I would be. I mean, they're pretty vicious. If they get a Weiner pick, they're obviously willing to post it. They just are desirous of taking down conservative media. That's what it is. Gawker's okay to do it, but Breitbart's not, because he's a conservative, and it's our goal in the media to destroy conservatives.
Do you think Weiner will resign? We're short on time, but do you think Weiner will resign?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
All right, very good. Andrew Breitbart, you'll be up at Minneapolis at Right Online, I believe, next weekend, yeah?
Very excited about that.
All right, looking forward to it. We'll be up there as well. Looking forward to seeing you. I'll send you that link as well, and you can check out that Talkers article. So, Andrew Breitbart, appreciate your time this morning. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
The spine of Illinois' 17th Congressional District.
It's not boring at all.
It's the Morning Meeting with Brian and Shaw on Talk Radio 930 WTAD.